Hello, I am Jordan Dinwiddie, and I am an industrial and furniture designer. I'm really excited to have you all here today, and I'm very excited to get to present this and show you my work as a designer and what's happening in design moving forward for me. First, I want to give a quick thanks to my great professors, Jennifer Astwood, Dave Richter O'Connell, Annie Janetsky, Emily Piper, I don't know if she's in here, Kelly O'Brien, and Eric Evanson. They have been crucial in helping me in my design journey. First, a couple years ago, I was going through my parents' attic and stumbled across this drawing I did in 8th grade. And apparently, I had the design bug back then. Now looking at some things, I might do it a little differently. The lines could be a little straighter, but that's okay. The bug started then. My journey really began, though, when I started woodworking back in 2014 and 2015. I started at a place called Bench in Omaha, Nebraska, and I was absolutely hooked. I was amazed by that you can take raw lumber that's 70 years old and really rough, you run it through a planer, and it's like brand new that day. Within a month, I made my first box. Within a couple months, I made my first chair. Unfortunately, I didn't know I was going to be up here today, and I did not take as great notes of my sketches as I would have liked, but you can imagine they were pretty scratchy. And then 1 month later was my first day as a professional furniture maker. Making benches for myself, made a dresser for myself, and as you can tell, I was very proud of my work as a furniture maker and woodworker. But that's where we get into school and industrial design and what we're here for with Stout. I realized that I was designing for myself and only myself. I was never really thinking about the user or scale or anything like that. And that's what I realized that I was missing. I remember looking at like IKEA furniture, and you realize like this flat pack is just absolutely perfect, all these little puzzle pieces that have to go together. And it happens, right? And that's not an accident. It took a lot of work and a lot of talent and a lot of skill to make that happen. And I looked at that and I was just in awe, and I went, I want to have that sort of impact. And the only way that I'm going to learn how to do that impact is to come here and learn from great professors. So what I'm going to do today is kind of this really high-level look at my design journey. Specifically, I want to look at user, style, and combining the two. This first project I want to talk about, it was a real learning experience in how to design for the user. So this was a wearable project, and I chose to do a smart security system. And I really wanted to focus on this look for the user that signaled that it was for safety. So I wanted to go with established brands that we know for safety, and that look, very tech look. So it was clear, like, okay, I'm walking on campus and I see this person has a piece of hardware on them. This is a safety device. I entered into the ideation stage, and I wanted to make something that looked so cool. So I'm focusing on these like cool forms. You put it on your neck, put it on a keychain. I'm having a blast with it, thinking it's super cool, got these big insights, and I'm thinking I've got this figured out. So then I go into user testing phase. I do some mock-ups and really quickly have a very humbling experience and find out that, oh, there again, I was designing for myself, not for the user. And I really learned a lot of lessons about, okay, what does it actually take, though, to be a good designer? Because what I was missing was that feedback and that humility. I did not yet have that established, and this was the first humbling experience that I had. Huge feedback. I mean, it's going to block the camera, it's going to fall off, but then also, like, I'm always wearing a backpack and purse, which, spoiler alert, turned out to be an asset, but at the time, like, you want to put this thing around your neck, you're wearing a backpack purse, it's just not going to work, you know? So across the board, I was like, okay, this isn't going to work. So then this was my reevaluation, and I realized the idea was there all along. And as Andy can attest to, at this point in time, I didn't have a lot of time left in the project to really hone in that new style that I was looking for. So that's where it was like, okay, this lesson, this was about the user, but I wasn't really satisfied with the style of it yet. So that's where I go into my next project that really was impactful, which was our lamp project, where I was designing for manufacturing, and I wanted to make something that was really beautiful, very stylistic, very sculptural, and that's where I focused. So I had my user in mind. I knew what I wanted it to look like. There was this vibe that I was going after. I went into the ideation phase, and this was great because I'm not worrying about tech. I'm just worrying about style at this point. and I'm bringing things in, and I'm starting to add some technology to things. I'm putting it together, having a good time with that. As you can imagine, I love the model making process. And the result was Icon, and it had fully functioning wireless charging capabilities, and I was just really happy with how things turned out. Excuse me one second. So yeah, this was a really great example in that pursuit for style and aesthetics. But this one, you saw that presentation. I wasn't talking about the user yet. And I knew that that was something, again, that's missing. There's still these parts that haven't quite combined yet. So that's where I'm going to talk about my senior thesis, and that is designing a human-centric workspace for the hybrid era. But really, more importantly at this point in time, instead of talking about the specific design, I want to talk about the process of now merging those two needs of the user and the appeal of the product. Those are two very important things. So, I mean, the user research, just all of a sudden, I mean, it takes off, right? Doing all this in-depth research, I got 25 citations on my lit review. I mean, it's just extensive. There's so many places to go with it. Understanding the cycle of furniture is so different than when you're just buying a product, right? Like I buy the iPhone off of the shelf or whatever, right? But in this case, the person who uses the desk, they're not the buyer, right? And the person who's buying the desk isn't the one who chose the desk. It's a complicated loop, and I really need to understand not just the user, but the stakeholders as well. And now I need to understand the competition. I need to understand ergonomics. I mean, there's just all these things that I've always been excited about with furniture. But back in 2014, that self doesn't know how to do any of this yet. And that's why we're here, and that's why I'm here, is to get all this stuff and put it together. And now I'm like, okay, I care about the style. I care about the aesthetic. I still want to make that work. So I put a lot of time and effort into making sure that it was a trend and style. I wanted this thing to look good in 3 years from now. So that's where it begins, this point of really ideating and finding this look and refining the look and coming up with the model and doing the user testing on the furniture. What a great, fun way to finally merge things. Do it a second time, come up with some more ideas, make some more models, do some more user testing. And then what do you know? There's a third time that we do this again. And all of this process combines to make this final product, in this case, the final direction, because I still have so much more time and so much left to explore on this project. And I am just thrilled to see where this goes and how I can continue to merge these two ideas of merging the user and the aesthetics. Thank you so much.